This is Danny Marino from The Agonist.
This is Amanda Kiernan from Into Eternity.
This is Jeff Martin from Blasted to Static.
This is Missy Avila from Your Chance to Die.
Hey, this is Tim Ripper Owens, and you are listening to The Great Metal Debate.
Greetings, Great Metal Debate listeners. Joining me this morning, two special guests. With me on the line, I have Ross the Boss and Sean Peck, both of Death Dealer. Good morning, guys. How is it on opposite ends of the coast?
Yeah, it's good. Good from New York.
It's boiling hot record heat here in San Diego, where normally it's like a perfect environment every day of the year, and then when anything gets out of whack, everyone in San Diego like freaks out.
So it's freaking out on the West Coast, and everything's good on the East Coast.
Yeah, we had dry summer, but yesterday it was pouring rain, and now it's cooled down a bit. So it's just a little.
It's raining here in the great state of Kentucky, also. Well, listen, let's just get started with Hallowed Ground. It's the second album from Death Dealer. Guys, how exciting is it to get this out?
You know, we've been actually sitting on this material for a long time, so it's good to finally have it finished. And the best part about being, you know, in the musical area of artwork is you get to hear people's response. You know, I always say artists that paint a painting, they have like, oh, we're having the painting at the gallery, and all they get to do is have people walk by and look at it, go, oh, that's amazing. But when music comes out, you get to see all this reaction from the fans and the press. And as an artist creating stuff, it's really satisfying to have people like really articulate how the music's hitting them, and it's just starting to flow in, and people are just like out of their minds about it. And it's since we've been sitting with this music for so long, you know, it's good to kind of get re-energized on it and hear how freaking amped people are on it.
Now, Ross, the same with you. You've been sitting on this a while. You've been playing with other projects, but this has to feel good to get it going.
Yeah, I mean, Death Dealer. This record is really a piece of work. You know, these songs. You know, the songs are. You know, they just talk for themselves. I mean, there's just no doubt about it that this record is fantastic. I mean, I just keep listening to it, and it just never disappoints me. I mean, you know, I'm really proud of it. I got to tell you, this band is amazing.
A little birdie let me listen to it, and it's amazing. I'm not just I love this saying. It's metal the way metal should be played, and that's the way I would describe it. I just love it. Now, what's the release date on that?
October 2nd.
October 2nd. And how many tracks do you have?
13.
13
titles on the CD.
Okay. Now, I noticed something about both you guys. Sean, we'll start with you. You sing in a lower register than I think I've ever heard you sing on this album, and it still sounds fantastic.
I got some like super low stuff on when I got like Life on the Sea and the freaking Skull and Crossbones and some other stuff, and I'm really proud of my super low voice, which reminds me of oh my God, what's that freaking country band? My heart's on fire for Elvira.
Oh, the Oak Ridge Boys.
Oak Ridge Boys.
Yeah, I'm very proud of
I'm just as proud of my low notes as than my excruciatingly, insanely high. Only sea mammals can hear them high notes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to say it that like on the first record, like a War Master, the low stuff, the lower mid to lower stuff wasn't as obvious on the first record, and you know, it's like, oh, and it's like, you know, that's all he can do is screech in the high end. I go, believe me. I said, believe me. And there's stuff on War Master that shows that, but not like this. This, I think, this is Sean's best blend of tones and voices, and it's just, I'm in awe of Mr. Peck. I got to tell you.
Yeah, I think rightly so.
There's a lot of variety. You know, I always try and do that on all my stuff. Is put just a bunch of different voices. But the songs really that we all wrote really lent themselves to a bunch of different vibes, and I think all of us writing as a group really came together and put together just some killer track. Like you've heard the record. I mean, there's just such a variety on here, and I think universally, anyone that heard the first record, and I love the first record. I love that record. I think universally, people are going to think like, oh my God, this thing's like light years beyond that first record.
Well, you know what? People say it. I think it's the maturity of the band, because when War Master was out, then we did the Metal All Stars Arena tour. Mm-hmm. We got to play a lot of shows in front of a lot of people, and the band really came together. The chemistry was absolutely there with this lineup, and I think it's just a natural maturation of the band, and it's continuing to do that. I mean, so I think the third record is probably even going to be better than this one, which is kind of hard to think about. So,
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, so
come on, Ross. You can't be saying easy, buddy. Don't. Let's lower expectations.
All right, I know.
I don't think you have to lower expectations. This record is amazing. It showcases a lot of different things. I think it went beyond War Master. I mean, the new video showcases a lot of different stuff. Break the Silence is the low register, and it also brings up the second thing I want to talk about with what I noticed on this album is Ross and Stu, you guys trading harmonies, playing harmonies together. The fills and the solos are just amazing. They're super fast. They're super technical. Just a lot of good. I mean, you guys work well together, obviously.
Yeah, Stu and I do have a great partnership. It's the no ego thing. It's like whoever's best for the song does it. I mean, whatever needs to be in that space at the time, whoever needs to do it does it. And if the song doesn't need a solo, well, that's great. Like Seance. I mean, there's no one cares. About what one does, as long as the job gets done. So that's why it's so great. No one cares. It's just as long as the right thing is there.
Well, definitely is the right thing. I mean, it gets done on this album.
Yeah.
I mean, when the cover art came out, I was like, man, I just buy that picture right there. The cover art is sick.
There's the backstory of the cover art is freaking like we had a completely different cover done, and the label didn't like it, so we got another cover done, which we all liked. The label didn't like it. Yeah. So we're all sitting there in Sweden where we literally have to have the artwork to the distributor in like 9 hours, and we got no cover, and I'm like, well, I got this right here, which the cover of this album was actually going to be a book cover for another book that I was releasing, and that song it's based on a song that's actually on the Denner Sherman EP, and everyone just saw it and Stu, when I showed him the book cover, Stu just loved it. Like months ago, he was like, dude, that's so killer. And so I just took one for the team and gave my book cover to the to Death Dealer and everybody, and everyone just saw it and freaked out. And all the once we released the cover artwork, everyone's like, oh, it's so badass. So I'm really happy that everything kind of happens for a reason. It's just funny how things happen. And now this is on this iconic record. We've got an iconic cover to go with it. So it's just kind of a funny back rock and roll story, the whole thing.
Hey, well, that's great. You took one because it works out good. It's good. Now, I've seen some pretty good reviews of this album, other than my own. I mean, it's been well received, it looks like.
Yeah, so far. Yeah.
There's more. I'm sure there's a lot more coming. When I leaked the album to some of the insiders and friends, I'm like, hey, man, what do you think of this record? Because it's all, you never know what people are going to say, and they were just like, dude, oh my God, this is like, so good and all this stuff. And then you're like, come on, man, I need like an honest opinion. And they're like, no, dude, really, like this is fun, this is great. And now we're starting to see some real, independent, third party reactions to it. I just think, Ross and I and the guys write songs coming from being a fan of metal itself, and like, this is the kind of metal that I want to hear as a music fan, as a metal fan, And so that's how the writing process kind of happens. And that barometer, obviously, for Ross has served him well, and for me served fun. I just am fan of this kind of metal, which, some call it power metal. Me and Ross say it's pretty much a metal. They're labeling it speed metal, and there's a lot of funk and stuff. I just think fans of this style are just gonna, have no choice but to rock their ass off and bang their heads till their
no choice whatsoever. Now, Ross, this album, it is a throwback, and yet it's not. I mean, I think that fans of this genre, and I would call it just heavy metal, that's what I'd call it, have just been screaming and waiting for an album like this. I mean, would you agree that fans are ready for music like this again?
Yeah, I kind of think that there's, just for really good, I think so. I think there's always a need for it, I think, I'd like to think that, and I hope so. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, I agree completely. Now, you guys did this with a new label. How is it working with the SMG guys?
SMG is like a throwback to the old school, to the old days. I mean, these guys actually take a hands-on approach to the band. They know it. They know this business. They know what the band needs. The band can't do everything by itself. They know they need to step it up. They need to they need to, finance things. They need to buy they got. So they're giving us an opportunity to be heard, to be seen, to be, to properly put where we deserve, and they're not going to stop. I mean, they're not taking no for an answer. These guys are old school guys. They're but they're young, and they get it. They get it, and they were on tour with us in Sweden, and they came to every show, and every festival, and they were right there. And they're hands on, and they're guys, and we're thanking our lucky stars for these guys. I mean, it's really great. It's a great match. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of positive energy with this band right now. So
I think it shows in the production and the promotion also. You guys just wound up a tour last month from the middle of July into August. How'd the tour go?
Yeah. I mean, I think it went better than expected. I mean, our first headlining tour, and the limited exposure we got on the first album, so I didn't know who was going to show up. And I mean, even on midweek nights, we had way more people in there than I thought we were going to have.
Excellent.
So I thought it was really successful. I mean, the show we did in Stockholm was on a Wednesday night or something, Ross, or a Tuesday night. It was freaking huge club, and it was packed.
Early weekday, yeah.
So I mean, I was just I can't believe how many people are in this club. And the club people were telling us I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but they were going, well, this band was in here last week on Tuesday, and there were 12 people here. So, and some big names. So, it was really encouraging. I wanted to say one thing on the style of music and having this kind of album come back. Some of the people will say, well, they're not reinventing the wheel or anything, and there's nothing necessarily new here, but it's still rocking. But I think if you're trying to reinvent the wheel in heavy metal, it's not going to be heavy metal, and it just loses the spirit and fire. There's a lot of on this album. There are a lot of cool, intelligent nuances and stuff. But if you try and get too cute, man, it just loses the power and the feel for the leather and steel.
Absolutely. You no need to fix what's not broken. Excellent. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. In the end of the day, we do what we do, and that's what it is. I mean, we are what you're listening to, and
Well, I mean, you guys represent what you represent, and you represent it well, and that's what I love about the band. Now you guys play Belgium, Holland, Sweden, and Germany. Do you think Europe supports metal better than the U.S., or is that just because we haven't had that much metal out in the U.S. that's traditional heavy metal?
I think it's, there's definitely a better infrastructure for metal in Europe, just because every town has like a rock bar. You know, there's still a lot of print magazines, all the festivals that there. But I think the United States is definitely coming up, especially in this genre. There's like a lot of new kind of true metal fests popping up all over the United States, and that like the fest like the Ragnarok has now been sold out like 3 years in a row, and I'm playing this one called the Throwback Metal Festival with Cage in Vegas next month. So I think it's like slowly. I always hate when people are like, "Oh, metal's coming back." Like metal's never going away ever. I mean, the seeds and the roots are like firmly planted, and there's lots of kids that are into it, and I don't think it'll ever be kicked to the curb like in the Nirvana days. But the United States is definitely slowly rising in that direction, and then a lot of the fests like the Rocklahomas and stuff. So I think it's
it's there. I mean, it's definitely there.
It's getting healthier.
Fans here, but we have a gigantic country, and there's more media into heavy metal in Europe. It's more concentrated heavy metal fans in all these countries, and so therefore it's definitely more visible. And as Sean said, there are clubs, there's the scene, there's a rock scene, there's a metal scene in every town, there's a metal bar and stuff like that. I mean, we have them here. It's just that it's just too far apart. Everything's too spaced apart, and there's no like in the '80s, an MTV blasting it 24/7. In the '80s, it was the music of the people because it was being blasted on MTV every single day, nonstop rotation. All these bands. So.
On our tour, we had, like you saying how big it is. I mean, on our tour, we had, I can't tell you how many people, like, I remember one couple came to 5 shows, that we played. I mean, I'm just like going, you guys are crazy. You keep coming to every show. And then, and we saw like a lot of people at 2 and 3 shows. So it's geographically easier for people to do that. But America's getting good. I don't ever like saying like, oh, Europe's so much better than the United States for metal, because there's a shit ton of metalheads here in the United States, and I've played a lot of great metal shows in the U.S. I know Ross has too.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, if you go to like South America, I mean, there are some spots on this planet where heavy metal is insane, and it's breaking out like in Indonesia. And a lot of places, and it's getting into metal. Metal is just a language, and everybody, you don't have to speak it. Speak your local language. You can speak heavy metal.
Right.
And it's a really uniting form of music, and we meet. I get fan mail from everywhere around the world, and it's just people are just great, and you just gotta they know it's like the metal. It's just like the sign. It is. It's great, and. I think the United States slowly is picking up again. It's really it's great to see. It really is.
Well, let's certainly hope so. Now you talk about metalheads and a great show. Let's turn to you guys. Recently found out you're going to be on the Motorhead Motorboat cruise, which is September 28th through October the 2nd from Miami. What's that going to be like?
Oh, it's going to suck. I think it's totally lame, and it won't be any fun at all. It's not even going to be any fun.
Yeah. That was the stupidest question I'll ask all day, I promise.
Ross, you want to...
Yeah, it's going to be. I figure it's just going to be 4 days of debauchery. But no, I mean, there's a lot of great groups on there, a lot of great acts, and we tend to make a lot of friends, make a lot of new friends there, and turn a lot of heads as we always do live, and have a great time when you meet and greet a lot of folks, and it's an honor to be there. We especially for Motorhead, I know Lemmy for a long time now, and he's a great guy, and we're all glad he's feeling better. That stays like that, and we all love him, and. It's great, Slayer and Anthrax are friends of mine. I produced the first Anthrax single, and there's a lot of old friends of mine, a lot of kind of like punk edge metal bands and there, and so it's going to be great. It's a great mix of bands, and it should be awesome 4 days.
What I like about it is there's really no bands on the whole lineup that are anything like us. So I think we're definitely going to stand out.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to bring the old school heavy metal scream to the stage with those songs, and compared to, you know, how great, you know, and a Slayer and Suicidal and, you know, all those bands, but there's really nothing on that entire lineup like us, and so I think that's going to be a real advantage to us.
Yeah, I definitely think that boat is going to be rocking in more ways than one. And so, you know, that would be the cruise of a lifetime right there. So, congratulations on that, guys. Now, let me get to what many listeners want to know. Is there going to be an American tour at some point for Death Dealer?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
How about that?
That's the answer I was hoping for.
We always get these messages on Facebook like, come to Portland, come to Des Moines, you know, and you're like, God, I'd love to come to Des Moines. So with this label, they're just so aggressive, and they're just so convinced that, like, in order for the band to be successful, they have to tour. And so that's their whole mentality. That's why they put us on this Motorhead cruise. They want to really break the band, and they're doing everything they can. I've been on so many labels, and they're like, we put the album out, and hey, let us know if you ever play any shows. You know, they don't help out with touring. They don't have any plans for that. And then I had one of the major metal labels, I won't mention any names, they're like, oh, we can't sign you because we need people that are willing to sleep in the van. So the other model is like they want to put, like, you know, 18-year-old kids out in a station wagon and just give them no money and just have them starve on the road and sleep on the floor. And I'm a Viking, just like Ross, man. I don't have any problem actually doing that, man, because we like performing so much.
Yeah.
But that's just the mindset of the labels. They're like, if you're going to go out on the road, you're going to, you know, sacrifice 5 years of your life living like a homeless guy with a cardboard sign. You know, we'll play guitar for gas money. And luckily, we're willing to, you know, we're working our asses off, and that's why the label likes us, because they know that we're just, like, completely busting our ass on Death Dealer every day. But it's good to have, like I said, this partner with SMG where they're doing it in a realistic way, and we've got just a great team, and the sky's the limit.
Now, let me just kind of wrap up by saying this, that I love the way that you guys never seem to take a break. I mean, metal and music is your lives. You guys are true defenders of the faith, true kings of metal. And I know that I can speak for fans when I say I appreciate you bringing back metal the way metal should be played.
Yeah, Ross?
Believe me, it's an honor. It's an honor to do it. I mean, we're doing what we love to do, and, you know, it's nice to get it's nice to people to feel that and see what we're doing and to obviously support it, you know?
Yeah.
We want the band to be gigantic, you know, as big as we can get it, and, which will, you know, which will absolutely guarantee that we will be playing everywhere else, you know.
Yeah.
And good thing, you know, I think good things are gonna find us. Good things come to good people, and we don't stop working. We're a workaholic band, and you know, we're just busy in music. All of us have, you know, obviously other projects, but I mean, Death Dealer is the main project for us all.
Sure.
We just. I don't know. I consider it an honor to play music. I have all my life, and this band is really it's a chemical agent. It is.
Well, I mean, the devotion shows, and I think fans will and do very much appreciate it. All right, guys. Go ahead.
It makes it easy because, like, the guys that we have in the band, I mean, it's just like a laugh riot all the time. So it's like super fun to be together and to play and be on the road, and like there's never like a crossword or all the personalities in this band, like no one ever really snaps or gets pissed off. That's hard to find, man. It's hard to get a group of guys where it's just like you just love hanging out for that long a time, and even when shit goes sideways, we're just like laughing it off. So that really helps. And then when we get on stage, man, it's just like there's something about, you know, especially on this last tour, we really discovered So we were playing with a lot of good bands, that played with us and some of the festivals and stuff. And I don't know, man. There's just something about when we step up there. There's just some vibe that the crowd gets. I mean, just Ross's pedigree and Mike's been in all he's got Lizzie Borden fans coming up to him. I've got my people and something about like when we step on that stage, no matter what the adversity is, it just comes through and the people are reacting and it's just a combination of the guys and then of course the songs. And when you have that kind of that volatile combination, you can't help it but think it's going to be successful.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
there's another thing that we have a trust factor here,
right?
And because I know that when we hit the stage, I know that Stu is going to be absolutely amazing. I know that Mike is the secret weapon of the band, by the way, on stage. This guy's insane. He's amazing. He is amazing. Amazing stage performer, amazing attitude. I know that the band's going to be awesome, and I trust the band. I trust my band members, and everybody trusts each other to, we know there's no adversity that we cannot climb over. Yeah. We know that. So.
And we've had it. We've experienced adversity.
That's what brought us in 3 years from the drawing board to where we are now. So.
Well, I mean, there's not a weak link, and that's obvious.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap this up. Where can fans get the new album as well as other music and merchandise?
Well, it will be in every store all across the world. I mean, all in the United States. We've got major distribution through the label and Soul Food and all our distribution partners. There'll be links, of course, on the website to get the album and to get the bundle package with the shirt. And Facebook is a good portal for everything, and I think the pre-order link's up there. And anyone listening to this interview, man, this album there's 13 songs. They're long and they just rock. And take it from Brian, he can vouch for it. It's like contender for album of the year easily.
I would agree with that totally. You will not be disappointed. Listen, thanks to Ross the Boss Friedman and Sean Peck for joining us on the Great Metal Debate. Check out Death Dealer's Hallowed Ground, available on October the 2nd. And check out their site also. They've got War Master, the first album, which is awesome. They've got some t-shirts available, some vinyl available. Hallowed Ground, Death Dealer, October the 2nd. Thanks, guys.
DeathDealer.co. 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 There you go.